Drawing cards is one of the best effects in the game, and that's the reason why Pot of Greed is currently banned. You know what it does. Pot of Greed had a whole bunch of retrains throughout the years, and some of them are still used today. So you might be asking yourself, do I really need a pot card, and what one should I be using? Do I really need to spend hundreds of dollars just for deck consistency? For most decks, there's a pot card for you. Do you need your extra deck? Do the cards in your main deck not really matter that much? Then Pot of Desires is the card for you. Banishing the top 10 cards of your deck, which you weren't going to see anyways, just for more deck consistency, is so worth it. The risk of you banishing all 3 copies of the card that you need is 1.8%, and the trade-off for that are cards that you need. So what decks benefit from this? Decks like Sky Striker, Zodiac, and Virtual World are going to benefit greatly from this card. With Sky Striker, they're sending the stuff that they need to the graveyard directly from the deck and adding it through an extra deck monster. And with Zodiacs, they really only need one monster from the main deck, because most of the resources are in the extra deck, like Trident or Zeus. Similarly, in Virtual World, most of the main deck monsters start the combos as well. Or if you're Grand Maju, you're trying to banish as many cards as you can just to boost Grand Maju's attack for OTK. But maybe you don't really play with your extra deck, and you don't really special summon a lot, and you're playing a lot more with your main deck. But you really don't have the money for Pot of Extravagance. Then you're going to be looking at Pot of Duality. At the cost of not special summoning for the turn, excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, add one of them, and shuffle the other 2 back into the deck. The decks that are going to be benefiting from this card are Altergeist, Subterror, and Mystic Mine, or basically any deck that doesn't play with the extra deck. Altergeist have the option to special summon their turn, but they don't need to. With Multi-Faker and Infinite Permanent, they can generate disruption on their opponent's turn and just set a whole bunch of trap cards on their turn. Subterrors generally just revolve around Guru, and they're not really special summoning a whole lot. Or if they do, they're summoning Umastrix, which is a 1-of, which isn't super vital to their strategy, or they're using Super Poly. They're more about searching out Fiendus, which is a hand trap for them, and getting out Final Battle. And Guru has quick effect disruption while there's another Subterror card face up on the field, where it flips itself, and another monster face down. And Mystic Mine is Mystic Mine. Plus, the effect of Pot of Duality is not considered drawing. That's going to be relevant for later in this video. But let's say you're playing a deck that summons more than 5 times, and all of a sudden the beer just gets slapped onto the table. Enter stage left, Pot of Avarice. Shuffle 5 cards into the deck, and draw 2. Pretty neat. The only problem is that the only deck that would really want to use this card is Zodiac, or maybe as a 1-of in Sky Striker. It's pretty bad in pretty much everything else. Basically, if you're running low on resources, Avarice puts those resources back and draws you 2 cards. It's not required to shuffle things into the main deck either. If you're able to spend more money, and you don't really use your extra deck, and you want more consistency for your deck, then I would definitely recommend Pot of Extravagance. Or if you just need to banish cards with Grand Maju, this also works. Banish 3 to 6 extra deck monsters face down to draw 1 to 2 cards depending on how many cards you banish. And that's at the cost of not being able to draw more cards for the turn and only activating it during main phase 1. And the same decks that benefit from Pot of Duality also benefit from Pot of Extravagance for more or less the same reasons. They don't really care about going into the extra deck. So when Extravagance came out, it immediately became a staple card for those decks. And considering Extravagance and Guru came out in the exact same set, Subterrors immediately became a rogue control deck. And not only those decks benefit from Pot of Extravagance. Eldritch variants that don't care about the extra deck, and dinosaurs also use Pot of Extravagance. I've also seen Virtual World in the recent 3v3 LCS use this card. Plus, it only locks you out of drawing for the turn, not adding. So, you can use Pot of Duality and Pot of Extravagance in the same deck. Pot of Extravagance is played under the same principles as Pot of Desires in some cases, where banishing something you really need is going to be really low. But if you play a deck that really wants their main deck cards and doesn't really care about the extra deck, Pot of Extravagance is for you. Do you like the effect of Pot of Duality, but you're a deck that special summons a lot? Do you only use maybe half your extra deck, if at all? Ladies and gentlemen, we all knew it was coming. I give you Pot of Prosperity. Banish 3 to 6 extra deck monsters face down, your choice, to execute that many cards from the top of your deck, add one of them, and put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. So, selective banishment, and not random like Pot of Extravagance, allows you to special summon, unlike Duality. You dig through almost a sixth of your deck for cards that you need, and you're not allowed to draw more cards this turn, and your opponent takes half damage for the turn. Sounds pretty good to me. And you can activate it during any part of the main phase, not just at the start of main phase 1. So, what decks benefit from this? Altergeist, again, ABC, and Eldritch that really don't care about the extra deck. This is another card where you can also run Duality as well if you don't need to special summon for the turn. Or if some of your extra deck is just there just to counter some things your opponent may be doing, it's not really part of any big combo. I've already talked about Altergeist enough, so we already know why this benefits Altergeist and Eldritch for basically the same reason. Why does this card benefit ABC? With ABC, you're only going to be using 4 to 5 extra deck monsters during the first turn, and the rest of the cards in there are really just counters for what your opponent's doing, or the other copies of ABC Dragon Buster. Plus, the deck requires specific cards to get their combos going, namely Union Hanger and Unauthorized Reactivation if you already have a Union monster in hand. Or a card that gets out Union Hanger like Terraforming or Set Rotation. The chances of me using the Galaxy Eye Soul Flare that I have in my extra deck at the moment after I've gone into Union Carrier is very low, if not zero. So if I'm not using it, why not convert that into a resource to help consistency? The thing with these pot cards is that not every single deck needs a pot card, and it could possibly be detrimental to the overall strategy. For example, Dragon Link, both the main deck and the extra deck are both necessary to work in tandem in order to get their combos off. And they're a deck that special summons a lot, and they wouldn't really benefit by getting cards back into their deck. If you're a budget player and all you can really afford is Pot of Duality or Pot of Desires, they're both really good cards. And don't feel pressured into buying Pot of Extravagance or Pot of Prosperity just to make your deck more consistent if you can't afford it. The whole point of this video is consider what your deck needs and doesn't need if you're looking through the prospect of a pot card. Does the deck even need a pot card? What resources can the deck afford to lose with a pot card, if any? Is the deck loose enough to even include a pot card? These are all questions to ask when building a deck, and these are just purely examples. Thank you all so much for watching. I see that 92.6% of you who watch this video are not subscribed to the channel. This displeases Lilith, for she wants 200 subscribers by the end of February. I'm on social media too. My name is Brent, and I am Maxed Out Weird, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.